Hey guys, it's Marta. Today I wanted to meet with you and talk about a perennial I think every garden should have. It's a magnet for butterflies, for all of the pollinators, very easy to grow, flowers for most of the year, and I think everyone should have it. I absolutely love it. Let's talk about coneflowers today. So welcome to my front border. This is a border I created last year in November, and here my love for coneflowers was spread very generously. As you can see, there are a lot of coneflowers. I absolutely love this perennial. This was one of the first perennials that I planted in my garden. And back then, when my garden, every plant was small, there wasn't that much happening. Those beautifully flowering coneflowers gave me the first thing that I love about the garden, that you can interact with the nature, because a lot of butterfly games and bees and other pollinators, all of those pollinators, and I could observe them. But not only pollinators and butterflies love them. I cut most of my perennials for the winter, but I leave coneflowers as they are, because they are perfect source of food for the birds, and the birds love it. You can also observe them in the winter when they land on them and they feed on them, and I absolutely love watching that. So where does the coneflower name that you probably know, the Echinacea or Echinacea, come from? It comes from a Greek word, echinos, that means hedgehog, because the inside of the flower looks like a hedgehog. So this is where the name comes from. If you look up the Echinacea name, you will know that the coneflower symbolizes strength, resilience, good health, well-being, because this is a plant that is used so widely in medicine. I myself am very happy because of the coneflowers, because whenever I get a cold, I get this herbal medicine that is made of coneflower, baptisia and thuya, and I always take those herbal pills, and so many times I knew I was coming down with something and it helped me. So thank you, coneflower. Why do I recommend this perennial for every garden? I never want to say you must buy something, because I'm not in a place to do so. I always show you things I think they are inspiring, but this perennial I would really encourage you to get for your garden. This is a perennial that is very easy to grow, perfect for beginners. It will take on a lot. When you put it in your soil, it doesn't need to be a rich soil. It will do well in when you have some drought during the season, but not when it is very young. We always say that some plants are very resilient, but not when they are babies. When they have grown in your garden for at least a year, yes, they will do fine without some water. But when they are young, we need to, like with children, we need to sometimes work more on them. So you have to water them consistently, but then in the next year it will be perfect. I also love it because it flowers for such a long time. You will just put it in the ground. It will flower for you from early summer until the frosts come, and it's so cheerful, guys. It's just easy to grow. Look, this is a space that we planted it in. It's in front of our garden. The soil is not super rich. I didn't give it any fertilizer. I didn't add any compost. And look, first year it looks so perfect. All of the plants that you're seeing today in this border have been planted in November last year, so they are all new plants, all of them, all of the grasses, all of the perennials. You can see the video that when I was planting them, and you can see this border in different months, how it looked like with those tiny plants. I really wanted to create this border for people who are just starting out with their gardens, because I wanted to show how fast you can get those results with perennials and with grasses, and you can enjoy them. You can have a lot of color in your garden, and you don't need to spend a lot of money and wait for a longer period of time to get those beautiful results. So let's talk about varieties. With coneflowers, you will find that there are, I don't even think that hundreds, maybe thousands of cultivars, and something for everyone. You will get the classical pink coneflowers that are native to America, but you'll also get the doubles, the different colors. You can get whites, you can get those that are almost orange, so everyone will find something for themselves. But when we're talking about the varieties, I wanted to introduce you to my favorite variety. This is always in the back of this border, and you will see it repeat itself a few times. This is Magnus, and this coneflower has been with me for a long time in my garden. It comes back every year perfectly. What does it mean, come back? With perennials, most of them, you will get this, that the upper part of the plant will die in the winter. I leave it dry with those seeds for the birds, and then I prune it right back to the ground in the spring. And what it means that the plant comes back every year, it means that it will reliably will push up those new shoots and will grow for many years. And some of the coneflowers, in my experience, those more fancy ones, sometimes you will have a problem with them coming back year after year. They will just die after a few years. This is my experience, and I'm not sure if that's for everyone, but this is also what I heard from other gardeners. With Magnus, I've never had this problem. This is a perfect coneflower. I've been dividing it, but also when all of those seeds are almost eaten by the birds, I always have some spare because they left some, and then I always take them in my hand in the spring or sometimes even during the winter, and I sprinkle it around. Then I have a lot of new seedlings in the spring, and then I put them somewhere else in my garden, because there is no such thing as too many coneflowers in your garden. I did not want to flood this whole border with only Magnus, so I decided to plant a few other varieties of coneflowers. This one that you can see here is called dark pink pearl. It is definitely a darker type of coneflower, definitely lower than Magnus, which I wanted because I wanted the steps in the flowers. I really like how it looks like, and I really love this combination with the grasses. The whole list of grasses and other perennials that are growing in this border I will put in the description, but you can also find them with the previous videos. I always list all of the varieties. You can see that we are waiting for another flash of blooms from my catmint. This is Persian blue. You can also see some purples from Verbena bonariensis. There are also Perovskia, so the Russian sedge, but those plants will need some more time to be in full bloom, like those ones that I have in my garden that are 8 years old. Those are really huge plants. So in few years, this will be a lot of purple that I think pairs very well with the pinks of the coneflowers. We're still also waiting for the salvias. So in this part of the border, you can see a lower growing variety of coneflower. This one is called mediation pink. It is definitely, as you can see, this is Magnus, this is mediation pink, so it's definitely lower. I love the petals. I call them vintage petals because they are so washed up, and I really love that effect on flowers. And the hedgehog inside, as we've learned from the name, is also a very interesting color. So you can see the very deep burgundy paired with deep orange, and I really like this effect. I have some Russian sedge here that is very small, and I thought about planting something that would give me some color. And this spring I sowed some seeds of statice, and it was white statice, and you can see those flowers. Statice is an annual I really love because it dries perfectly and you can use them in wreaths. So but it needs a sunny position. It's very difficult in my garden to find such place, and this one was perfect. And I'm really loving this white addition to popping those pinks even more. So maybe next year I will be adding something white here if I find a place. I need another border to plant up. So this variety of coneflower was the first I thought about after Magnus, and it's called Delicious Candy. I had it in the baskets and I really loved it. I like how, I don't know, how big the inside is, and then the petals go downwards, so I really love that. Usually the color of the flowers is more intense, but we've had 3 days with 33 degrees Celsius heat wave, and today as we are filming, the sun is going down, but it's still 33 degrees, so I can feel the heat, and also the petals can feel it. If you ever had flowers in your garden, you know when there is scorching sun, you will be losing some colors. But if you're looking at this variety, I wanted to let you know when it's colder, the color is even more intense. You heard me right before when I said that I had my coneflower in a pot, and you will probably ask how are they growing in pots. Of course you can put any plant in a pot, but then you will ask probably how about the winter, what do you do during the winter? I had my coneflowers in a pot that of course had a hole in the bottom so the water could escape easily, and I usually have them somewhere in the garden so there is a lot of rain coming to my pots, and I leave them there for the winter and I do nothing because the upper part of the plant dies out during the winter. I just leave this part so it is better covered, but I don't cover the pot, don't do anything to it. Just sometimes the rain will come, it will get some water. Then in the spring I will prune back the dead part, and then the new leaves will emerge, and it's a perfect plant if you have a terrace or a balcony and you want some perennials. I think it's one of the best ones you can have. Okay guys, let me know in the comments if you have coneflowers in your garden. If so, which varieties. Let me know if you ever had problems with coneflowers, which zones do you live in. I know that coneflowers do well from zone 3 to 8, so let me know if you have them in different zones and the varieties. We can all look up the varieties and maybe we'll find some new inspiration to plant in our gardens. If you liked today's video, please give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and we'll see you in the next one. Also, it will be full of flowers. See you then. Bye.